So Jeremy, man, let's get into your book. What made you actually write this book?
It was something that I've always envisioned since I started this whole process. It's just being able to put all of my thoughts into one place, you know. And a lot of people would ask me, when would that book come? Like when, because people are really intrigued with my thought process, and
Guilty right here, man.
yeah, and it was just something that it was way overdue, you know. And I ended up getting with a life coach that ended up pushing me and holding me accountable, and it just allowed me to really pour my heart into this book.
Okay.
And
How long did it take to actually to make like finished product?
Truthfully, it took 6 weeks altogether since the moment that I decided to do it to the moment that I finished.
So when you do a book, right? Like, are you writing these things? Are you telling someone and they write it? Like, what's the process of actually like?
Yo, bro, believe it or not, I wrote this book on my notes.
Like on your phone
on
notes?
my phone notes, yeah.
Really?
I would just find a safe space where I can just allow my thoughts to flow, and the whole point of this book was really putting myself in the predicament when I was suicidal, depressed, always anxious. That person, not the person that people see today. I wanted to write this book in a language where it was understood, and I actually did some things in this book intentional. So, like for example, there's typos in this book. When people see a typo in the book, they'll be like, "Wow, what?" Automatically they can judge.
They try to discredit it.
Yes, but for me, what I did is I left multiple typos in the book intentionally, because what most people struggle with is this idea that everything has to be perfect to be executed. And I wanted to demonstrate with my book, with my typos, that things don't have to be perfect to be done. At the end of the day, what people love is real and not perfection.
Right.
And the more typos people see in my book, the more hope that they have that they can execute their book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that excuse anytime I misspell something. I like that idea, man.
Don't get it twisted. I've unintentionally misspelled a whole bunch of shit. I've had people that be like, "Yo, bro, the your is with apostrophe re, not just the r." And I'm not 100% out of 100% in my grammar. However, I do spell pretty well. I do express myself pretty well. But with this particular book, I intentionally left typo in there because I want people to understand
I like that idea. That's actually like a unique thing. I never heard like of a writer doing something like that.
It's just a sacrifice that pays off. So like, I'll give you an example. A lot of times when people would come up to me and they'll highlight the imperfection or whatever, and I'll be like, you see, this man that people glorify, this man that people see as an inspiration is as imperfect as can be. So you have no excuse on why you can't execute.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, man, you see, like, this is why I follow you, because you just give people like us hope. So people that see somebody doing well, they put that person on a pedestal, and that person seems unattainable. My goal is to, although I'm doing well, to always feel reachable to the people.
Okay.
And not reachable in accessibility, reachable as far as they can also get to this level, if not greater, because of my humanity, right? Like, just being a human being, bro, like sharing my imperfections, sharing my skeletons, sharing my wounds, being imperfect. Like, I'd rather highlight my imperfections than my milestones any day of the week.
That's some real shit, yo, because you see like a lot of famous people, right? They're so exclusive and you don't really know shit about them. So it seems like, man, like it's like almost like they're a god, right? Like, and it's like, I can never achieve that.
The reality is, bro, and this is me keeping it real and not throwing shade at nobody, but most people that have a platform that are being glorified, they're so afraid of judgment that in reality, like, they put on this perception that their life is amazing. And that's why these people end up being on pills, being on drugs, struggling with certain addictions, because you could only put on a facade for so long. I'd rather say, bro, I am as imperfect as can be.
Right.
I fuck up probably daily. And at the end of the day, I'm just a passionate human trying to figure out my way throughout life.
I mean, we had that conversation last night about how that people aren't real with themselves. Like, you know, they try to put on a front for the next person, which is why they end up, you know, becoming, like you said, depressed or having to keep up with like this facade, and it becomes exhausting. That
just sounds exhausting.
Yeah,
like especially like if you're on that level and you know everyone's watching you. I mean, I know you must have people like eyeing you all the time now.
For sure.
It's like, you know, as your platform grows and you do these seminars, they're like looking for imperfections, but it's like, but you're kind of like presenting it to them anyway. So it's like, yo, there's nothing to look for. Like I'm gonna tell you guys like I'm a real human being.
For sure. When I put my last video up on my social media, I had put the video up. I've always shouldered responsibility for all my stuff, but it was another vid. It was like my last video on my personal page on Facebook, that was the page that I had the longest. And I said, listen, man, like, I just want to publicly recognize that I've messed up. I've hurt people in my process, and it's not something that I'm proud of. But what I want you guys to do is, because people were started to post about me. Because people have this idea with the way that I post that I'm trying to be perfect.
Right.
I think I'm better than everybody and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, that's far from the truth. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to keep bashing me on social media. I want you to try any way possible to critique me, to defame me, to do all of these things, because what that's going to do is going to allow me to stay on my P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Right? So I had this one person in particular. She was going after me. I mean, she was vexed with
Did
me,
you know
right?
this person?
I knew of this person, no type of relationship or whatever, but it happened to be something where information got to her ears, and she wanted to be the messenger, and she went about it like publicly, like she wanted to knock my business, everything down, right?
I can't stand people like that.
No,
She had a vendetta.
No, but those are the people that I love the most, because guess what? What I ended up doing is I ended up apologizing to this person. I didn't do nothing to her, right? But I ended up being the bigger person. I apologized to this person.
Right.
I send her a message through inbox, right? And I say, hey, I just want to let you know, man, there's a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud of. There's a lot of things that I wish that I could take back. However, I can't. What I'm doing is I'm trying to work on myself. I'm trying to get help. I'm trying to get support, because as I'm trying to help people better their life, I'm also trying to better my life. She ended up writing a hateful message to me, right?
After you said all that,
After I said all
she
that,
still was hateful.
Yeah,
back.
she sent me a hateful message, right? But here's the thing. Watch this. There's a fucking twist to this.
Right.
What I ended up doing was I took out her emotions and I took out her intention, and I just read the words. And what she exposed to me was who I've always been and who I've always tried to overcome. So now I use that as a reference anytime I'm getting comfortable or anytime I feel like self-sabotaging to my old life. So she don't realize, right? She helped me without wanting to help me, because I was able to be mature enough to take out the emotion and her intention behind the words.
Yeah.
And guess what I did? I translated that like, God, I cannot believe that you use somebody like her to speak to me, to keep me on my P's and Q's. Number one. Number two, this shit is mad deep, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I love this shit. Number two is like, when you're real with yourself, you know where you're fucking up at, right? So for me, it's like, I have no business being mad at somebody, because my whole business revolves around love.
Yeah.
It revolves around empathy. The people that are going to come across you are the ones that are going to challenge your truth the most. So you can't say that you're about love and you're about empathy, but you got somebody that's full of hate and you're going to look at them with hate.
Okay.
No, so
it's a crazy way to think
I
about
was
it.
able to look at her with love and empathy and gratitude, because I'm like, wow, there's no way that heart is full of hate, because you just told me everything that I wanted to keep overcoming. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you look at life with lens of gratitude, with lens of love, with lens of empathy, every situation you see the good out of it. If I would have combated that information with my emotion, right? What would have happened?
You went back and forth.
I would have went back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's like,
nowhere.
those that have
And she wouldn't help you get to the place where you're at.
exactly
Yeah.
those that have the most insecurities have the most to prove.
Mm.
I don't have nothing to prove, because I don't give a fuck if you think I'm as imperfect as possible. I don't give a fuck what you think about me, because at the end of the day, guess what? When I'm by myself, when it's just me and me, I got to deal with my thoughts.
Right.
You don't got to deal with my thoughts. I got to deal with my thoughts. And I've always told this to myself, bro, and this is something that I feel passionate about, so I want to say it. No human on this planet exists that can make me create a negative action based on their action. There's not one that exists. There's not one. You want to know why? Because if I can create an action based on what somebody else is doing that's negative and it's going to serve me in a negative way, that means that person has that much power over me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always believed in that. Like, you can't let people control your emotions.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But it's easy to say it, but when it comes down to actually practicing it,
Yeah.
it's a different ballgame.
Right. Because when you get caught off guard.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But it's like when you get caught off guard and you expose yourself in that information, So for me, it's like if you're working on you to deal with the most vulnerable, difficult challenges. Not when everything is going good. Because when everything is going good, you're gonna get the best of me.
Yeah.
Perfect example. I could have been frustrated with this, what was happening right now with the cameras. I could have been overwhelmed. I could have changed my whole vibe.
Yeah.
Why? But if I'm a loving, caring, empathetic person, I'm gonna look at the situation with love, care, and empathy.
Right. Like everything happens for a reason.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, I'm very big on like showing who I am when I'm getting challenged the most and who I am.
What's been like one of your biggest challenges then? Like
one of my biggest challenges is overcoming my limiting beliefs.
your limiting beliefs?
My limiting beliefs, yeah, because consciously I'm a millionaire. Subconsciously, I still have poverty in there that's left from my past. So like, although I've been programming myself for the last 10 years, there's still some turmoil from my past.
Okay.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So like, for example, my self-image consciously is I'm a powerhouse. My self-image subconsciously, I still have my father and how he turned out in the back of my mind.
So are like when you say that, it's like these things, like these thoughts just kind of creep in every now and then.
Yes.
How do you phase them out?
I just confront them.
Okay.
Like literally, like when a thought comes to my head, I'm a security guard to my mind and my emotions. When a thought comes to me, I confront it rather than, because before I would shy away from it and I would avoid it. The more you avoid something, the more it comes.
Right.
I'm good to that, man. I try to run away from thoughts.
Yeah.
Headphones on, TV on, something to distract me from like the actual thought.
Actually addressing
dealing
it.
with it.
Right.
For sure.
Which then gives me crazy anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So for me personally, like our thoughts come to visit us. The only time that our thought becomes ours is when we put ourselves in that equation. Most of our thoughts stem from our past, not our future. So for me, this is why the clarity and conviction is important. If I know where I'm going, my mind is going to try to create barriers to get me there because my mind is always going to try to be in alignment with my subconscious mind. So every time I'm trying to get somewhere that my subconscious mind tries to creep in and it tries to put these thoughts of turmoil to sabotage me, what I do is I remember where I'm going. So that's when I ask myself the questions. What would the future me feel right now?
Right.
What would the future me say right now? And what would the future me do right now? So those three questions allow me to bring my future to the present moment. So when I have a thought that's trying to fuck with me, that is trying to keep me from taking action, when it's trying to make me self-sabotage, I tell myself, what would the future you do right now? Because again, I'm not gonna keep allowing a little feeling to interfere with the person that I'm trying to become.
So like to me, it seems like you're someone that like mastered your emotions. Obviously not mastered, but you got a good grip on it, right? Like
1,000%.
So how often like do these subconscious like negative thoughts like actually happen to you? Like is it often, or has it gotten to the point where like you've gotten pretty good at it where it's like it's just not even really a thing?
So truthfully, like almost every day at some point, like negative tries to get at me.
So it's still like a daily struggle for you.
For sure.
Even at your level of like,
The only thing that has really helped me is that because my new default emotions are those that I showed you: excited, grateful, and excited, grateful, right? And what I mean by wealth, not just financially, just wealthy internally.
Right.
Because those are my default emotions. Even when negativity tries to creep in, I'm able to confront it, and the window is shorter. Before, when negativity would come in, I would dwell because it almost feels fucking great to dwell in negativity.
1,000%.
Bro, it
Yo,
fucking...
you know-
Bask in it.
it's... what?
Yeah.
That's how they
Bro.
say, and misery loves company. Then you try to invite other people into
Right.
this.
My
Like,
brother,
Like,
listen
bro,
to me.
would you believe what happened to me today?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And you know what?
this shit happened to you a month ago, right?
Wow, check out what I realized though. The reason why negativity is so easy for us is because our brain is designed to help us survive. So we all have experienced things as a kid. Anytime your brain feels anything close to that, it's going to try to prepare you from that not happening. Meaning it doesn't want you to feel nothing physically, mentally, or emotionally. So what happens? Every time you think about a thought, you automatically go into worst case scenario because your brain is trying to prepare you from something happening. So what about this? What if we confront that worst case scenario immediately, say, fuck it, it is what it is, and then be able to actually get a thought and filter it back in. So like, I'll give you an example, right? I want to be the greatest life coach that has ever lived. I want to change the game. So whenever I get these poor thoughts, right, I confront them in the face. I say it is what it is, and then I automatically grab that thought of like, you're the greatest life coach and this is how you're supposed to operate. If you don't have something tangible that's bringing you closer to your vision that you can automatically bring in right now, what's going to happen is that you're going to marinate in the bullshit, because the bullshit is always going to remind you of who you've been, not who you're trying to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Today's sponsor is brought to you by Nicest Beard Oil. You can find it on doseofhoney.com. If you want your beard to be nice and glistening, definitely tap into doseofhoney.com and get your oil today. Yeah.
But this is, bro, let's talk about the rituals that I do though.
Okay.
I wake up and immediately, like, I visualize how I want my day to go. I meditate how I want my day to go. I take cold showers to reset my nervous
I've been
system.
hearing about that a lot too lately. Like, people have been taking cold showers.
Bro, when you take a cold shower, you release 250% dopamine to your body.
Not even cold showers, but like cold baths or
Yes,
like
cold exposure.
Right.
What happens is when you're in cold exposure, your body goes into fight or flight mode. And when you're able to fight it at that moment, it releases protein synthesis. And that protein synthesis just makes your body work at an extreme level. But the default to that is that you release a dopamine that can last up to 4 hours.
Really?
4 hours,
I'll
bro.
take a cold shower tomorrow.
No, listen to me, bro. So like, let's say you're in a whack funk that you just can't kick. If you take a cold shower, you can't be in a whack funk and cold at the same time. It's either going to be one or the other. So what happens is that you're able to reset your nervous system right then and there, because your body's just trying to survive. So once you understand what you want out of life, when you get out of that cold shower, that you're able to fucking be in that fight or flight mode, as soon as you get out, you automatically gravitate towards that vision of yours, and you say, you know what, fuck, I'm in a clean slate again.
Damn.
Yeah, so many people have been taking cold showers. Like,
No, yo,
It's like
I've heard that like multiple times from like when I watch like YouTube videos of like successful people. Like they like it's
that's the part of their morning
preaches about
ritual.
that shit.
Yeah.
I start my day like that, and I end my, like right now, right? So like after all of this, this is what my night routine will look like. I'll go home, I'll take a warm shower, I'll reflect on my day, right? And then I got a ritual in the morning and a ritual at nighttime. I think about, it's 10 minutes. I think about 3 things tangible that I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
I think about 3 people that I love, and I think about 3 things that I want to accomplish. Like, I literally feel it. I feel the gratitude, I feel the love, and I feel the accomplishments, right? So after I do that, I put myself in a peak state. I take a cold shower for about a minute and a half, sometimes 2 minutes. And then when I get out of that shower, I automatically go back into those 3 things. So I'm going to bed in a peak state, and then I'm waking up in a peak state. So as you're whatever you condition, whatever you practice, you're going to get better at. So the only reason why I'm good at my emotions is because I've practiced positive emotions.
Yeah.
The only reason why I practiced positive emotions and I got to this conclusion was because I said, if I could become a master at negative emotions, why can't I be a master at positive emotions? I became a master at negative emotions
And that's
because
easy. Like I feel like everyone's a master at negative emotions.
Of course.
That's like you're.
but it's only because of how much we practice it.
Yeah. Because it's easy.
Too easy.
I mean, at what age did you start getting this enlightenment? Like, and how was the transition to like where you are right now?
Yeah. So all of this transition happened when I was trying to I was trying to burn my son's mother's house with her in it.
What?
Yeah, so I used to struggle with negative thoughts so bad. And with her, she triggered them, right? Because I had self-hate, so she was accessible for me to practice my self-hate, right? So when me and her broke up, I had a very hard time dealing with my thoughts. I had all of these narratives of what is going to happen when me and her broke up. So like, for me not being able to see my son, to me getting put on child support, to me having baby mama drama, I believed all of these things because that's what I witnessed growing up.
Yeah.
So I created these stories in my head around her, and it got to the point where I couldn't manage them anymore. So it was either I take my life or I take her life. So one day I was sitting outside of her home with a gasoline tank, and I was getting ready to burn her. I was getting ready to burn her down inside her house. So what ended up happening was that at that moment, like, I started to cry, right? And I'm like, man, like, the thought of my son not having a mother was greater than me, like, taking her life away, because that was a selfish thing. So at that moment, while I'm in front of her house with the gasoline in right here, literally, so I was driving right here, the gasoline was right here, right? I was literally gonna grab it, go inside, boom, and burn the house down with her in it. That's how much fire I had internally, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was able to, at that moment, say, man, are you really willing to deal with this for the rest of your life, where not only are you going to take your son's mother's life away, but you may potentially not be able to be in his life if you don't get away with this.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Like you're eliminating both of his parents.
exactly
Yeah.
with one act, right? Because I was unable to control my emotions at that moment.
Right.
So at literally, bro, right then and there, when I'm outside of her house, I end up looking up how to get rid of negative thoughts on YouTube.
And that was like
Outside of her house.
Outside of her house.
And that was like, does she know about this?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Really?
me and my son's mother and my wife, we all have a beautiful dynamic. Like she comes over to my house when I go on vacation with my wife. My son's mother stays at my house. Like we have a beautiful dynamic, and I've exposed this to her. You know, I've shared this in the book.
How did she take it?
Her seeing the transition of me all, right, and me expressing my gratitude towards her, because I told her, because of you, I am the person that I am. So I will always and forever give thanks to you, right? Because that moment was the transition to my life.
Right.
Had you not been in that picture, it would have probably been a whole different picture, a whole different result.
Like a whole different you.
For sure. So because I've expressed my gratitude towards her, and I give her all the credit in the world, like she's able to listen to this and be like, yo, you know what? Like that was who he was, but that's not who he is any longer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, it takes maturity, but
How did she take it in a moment?
So she didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't even know that I was trying to burn her until I became this version of Jeremy Rodriguez.
Okay.
That I then shared it, but I shared it with her before I shared it with the world.
Really? Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So by the time like she actually heard it, like you already transformed as a person. So she
For
saw
sure.
like
She saw the
Exactly. So
work already.
The results are gonna triumph everything.
Right.
But if I was to be that same person and I was to share these things, it would have been a different narrative.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm calling the cops.
No, so at this point, right? So at this point, my son was 2 years old, and he was gonna be 3 years old, and so my son is 16. That was 13 years ago. That's when I basically took off with this whole personal development.
Really?
And then I just started to marinate into YouTube. I'm like, oh wait, I didn't know about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. I didn't know about all of these things. And I became so obsessed with this. And then I started to share my journey, just like not knowing who else knows about this.
Right.
And then one day I went to a Tony Robbins seminar in Texas, and when I listened to him speak, and I seen
like he's
him,
like pretty much the Michael Jordan
1,000%.
of life coaches, right?
1,000%. When I seen him do his thing, I'm like, I started to see myself in it.
Really? Okay.
Right. And then that's when I kind of just kept on. And then a lot of people would ask me for advice, and I would share my advice. And I think one thing that I've always had, even when I was a destroyed child, was that I've always cared for humans, bro.
Okay.
Like I've always cared for humans. My mom and my dad, despite their lifestyles, like they've always had a beautiful heart. And that's something that they instilled in me. And I've naturally always cared for people, bro.
Okay.
So the transition to become this person,
Yeah.
like it was just a matter of learning the practicalities and the technicalities of things, because my heart, like I've always cared for people.
What was the battle like of like changing your mindset though? Like actually believing the things that you believe right now, like actually becoming the person who you are. Because I feel like, you know, you talk about who you were at one point in time, and then obviously we see who you are today. But then like that is a process in itself, you know. And like we've had a conversation that like, you know, I myself struggle with like, you know, believing the affirmations, believing the happy thoughts, believing all of this stuff. So like, how do you like? What was that transition like for you initially?
So it was hard, bro, because like the battle was between the future me and the old me. And one day I told myself, like, what if I end up being 30? Like, what if I end up being 40 years old? Like, wouldn't I want to show up as the best me possible? So I told myself, like, at the end of the day, whether this stuff works or doesn't work, right? Eventually, I'm gonna have to meet those ages no matter what.
Mm.
So I'd rather give myself a shot at getting to those ages as the possible best version of myself
Right.
that I can possibly be, than just keep showing up as me. So what was happening was that I was getting little indicators that shit was working.
I was gonna ask that. Like, what was the point where you realized like, okay, like I'm on the
it's
right track?
clicking.
Yeah, so my desire for life, I had a desire to take my life. And as I was working on myself, my desire to live became greater than my desire to kill myself.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
And when that desire came, like my desire to getting better, like not something that I had to force, like just the desire of getting better was the indicator that it was working. And then like the clarity, like was a clear indicator that it was working. And then like the relationships and the experiences that I was creating was indicators that it was working. You know, and it's like, I just kept shooting my shot, bro. I just kept showing up.
Right.
like prior
Showing
to
up for yourself.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
Yeah, I just kept
that's
showing
different
up.
because we show up for people all the time, but like showing up for ourselves, we always lack that. Like we put ourselves on the back burner and don't really like, be there for us.
For
you
sure.
know?
I believe, bro, and then you can share your point. I believe that after God, you're first, second, and third. A lot of times people have a negative relationship with the word selfish, right? But I genuinely believe that putting yourself first is selfless. Here's why. Because if I'm not putting myself first, that means that I'm not a priority to myself. So how can I possibly be the best version of myself to you if I'm not even the best version of myself to me? Number one. Another thing, what am I teaching my kids? Most people never achieve their goals and their dreams because of always putting everybody else's life before theirs. And I told myself this, I don't give a fuck who you are.
Right.
If you think I'm selfish because I'm putting myself before your needs and your wants, you don't deserve to be in my life.
Yo, I'm a big advocate for that. And like you're a parent, I'm a parent, right? And a while ago, or a couple episodes ago, I had said like, yo, I prioritize myself over my kids, and
For
that's
sure.
like an insane thing for people to hear, right?
For sure.
Especially parents, because they're like, well, my kids come first. But it's like, and I feel like that's why so many people do become depressed or they never achieve shit because like they're putting their kids first. And when I say you should put yourself above your kids, I don't mean like fucking like leave them.
Of course, you're not gonna
like,
abandon
to
them
the wolves.
if
You know
it's-
what I mean? But like
right.
you, like your happiness and your goals has to be a priority.
Priority,
like,
right.
Because yo, to give them the best version of yourself, to be the best parent, like you yourself have to be happy.
1,000%.
And I feel like so many parents are miserable because they're putting their kids first. It's like it contradicts itself. You know what I mean? It's like, and then they like they're not happy because you're not happy because you put them first, and that really wasn't the best thing.
For sure. Man, listen, for anybody that has like this guilt trip of like putting themselves first or not being able to say no or not being able to implement boundaries, you're doing yourself and the people around you a disservice. Because I have this ability to say no with no explanation, because I have this ability to implement boundaries, because I have this ability to put myself first and not need anybody in my life, what happens is that my value in people's eyes it goes up. When you're always accessible to people, when you have an inability to say no, when you don't truly value yourself and your presence before anything, what happens is that in people's minds, you're just another person. Because most people don't know
You're
how
average.
to implement boundaries. Most people don't know how to say no. But if I know how to say no, my yes to you is gonna mean more.
Yeah.
And here's the crazy thing about it. Most people's true colors come out when you actually say no to them.
Yeah.
That's
for
a,
sure.
That's true.
So what,
However they react is like what they're like how they really feel about
bro,
you.
so once I understand that, I'm like, oh, I could take away the pressure. It's simple. I do what I want when I want, and that's it. And it's like, I'm not intentionally like sabotaging nobody. I'm not intentionally hurting nobody, right? All I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm good. And when I show up to you, I'm going to show up on fire every single time because of the rituals that I practice, bro. Like self-care for me is a law, is non-negotiable. My time is a law, is non-negotiable. When I travel is non-negotiable. What I do with my life is non-negotiable. And those are expectations that I've made clear with my wife. It's like, this is how I want to live my life. You are an addition and you are a priority to me. However, I am a priority to me first. And it's like, if you're okay with that, cool. And that's why the dynamic that we have is special, because it's like, she knows that she's going to get the best version of me because of the way I live my life.
Makes perfect. Yo, I've always preached that shit, and I've gotten like fucking crucified for saying that,
For
man.
sure.
Because people, I mean, I don't think I've said it as elegantly as you just said it, so
Yeah,
that might be
right.
my issue right there.
For sure, for
I mean,
sure.
part of the issue is like you think about it, like too often we think like, or we think about the person that we're with achieving their goals is them achieving their goals and putting us on a back burner. When in reality, it's not. You know, especially if like you have a person that really cares for you, like you care about your goals enough that like whatever goals that you care, or your goals are so substantial that whatever you achieve is gonna be beneficial to not only you but to your wife, your kids, and everyone else. You know.
1,000%.
But like, so I feel like a lot of times the struggle comes into play is because, you know, when someone is talking about their goals, it doesn't directly include them in a
For
sense,
sure.
you know, and
Absolutely.
it also it takes time away from them as well.
Absolutely.
You know, so like you're striving after your goals and like you're working hard and you're grinding and you're traveling and you're all over the place, and it's like, well, he's not around for me, and
Right.
he's not. No one's giving me attention,
For
and it's
sure.
like we want the instant gratification in a sense rather than like trying to look at the bigger picture and say, okay, well, in the end, this will all be like worth it, you know?
For sure.
And I feel like that's one of the hardest things about like a relationship is like being able to find somebody that is able to kind of put that instant gratification to the side to say, okay, like, you know, there's a bigger picture here, you know?
For sure.
And I'm happy that you found the right person, man.
Nah,
Like,
I
not a lot of
appreciate
people
that.
not a lot of people end up finding that, you know? And
Absolutely.
like I feel like it tends to like hold a person back from achieving
For
what
sure.
they need to.
I do got a question for you. It seems like you do keep coming back to your father a lot, you know.
Mhm.
What is like, and I've seen some content what you said, like, you know, you don't want your life to turn out like your father's did, or like, you know, and you're disappointed, you know, how his life turned out. I seen you actually like did an interview with him
Yeah.
too. What's your relationship with your father now, or your parents?
So my relationship with my parents is super healthy. Like I spend time with them, I see them and stuff like that. However, it's really on my terms, you know. So I go over there to spend time with them to get a dose of gratitude. But only so basically the boundary is if my thought process gets compromised while I'm in their presence, I have to go. So like for example, like let's say if my mom knows when I'm here to love you guys with no expectations, right? But if at any point our conversation goes sideways, or if at any point you're trying to bring me back to who I was, at any point you do anything that is not gonna serve me at that moment, I disassociate, because what I learned was this, bro. We have to teach people how to be around us. We had to teach people how to treat us.
I always say like no one's gonna respect you more than you demanded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like when my mom and my dad is like, when my mom is easier because like me and her we've always had a beautiful relationship. The relationship with my dad has been good, but it's like the reason why we tend to bump heads is because I'm a reflection for him. So it's like he grows in hate. He grows in hate seeing me and hearing about me. So I feel like a lot of times I do him a disservice. Not that I don't want to spend time with him, but when I'm around him, where he sees where I'm at in life, it makes him reflect so much on his that it becomes a negative thing rather than a positive
A
thing.
lot of jealousy.
Of course. And not intentionally, right? Like this is not me bashing him, but I understand the back end of things, right? It's like, man, like I'm 55 years old. I'm on dialysis. I'm not doing the best. I didn't turn out to have the best life. And here's my son flourishing. It's not that he's not happy for me, right? He's consciously happy for his son flourishing.
He resents his choices that got him there, and then he sees you doing. It's like, damn, I wish I could be what he's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because
be what he's doing, it'd probably be just alongside you.
For sure.
Just being around you more.
For sure. So I look at him with empathy and with love, because like we have is a beautiful thing that we have. But because I'm so empathetic, the last thing I want to do is keep causing my father to have to reflect on his life while he's literally fighting for it through this dialysis process. You see what I'm saying? So like unselfishly, I gotta really put myself on a back burner, right? Because I want to spend more time with him. I want to go on vacation with him. I want to chill with him. But it's like me knowing the aftermath when he's by himself and all of that reflection is like, do I really want to do this to him?
Right.
Bro, and this is the first time that I share this, and this is actually so deep. Like what I'm saying right now is fucking deep as fuck. Because he thinks that I hate him. And he doesn't realize that I understand how much he hates himself. And the last thing I want to do is be me being around him and remind him of how much he hates himself. Shit's deep, nigga.
Damn.
Shit's deep. He doesn't know how much I genuinely love him. I love him so much that I'm willing not to spend time with him just so that he can hate himself less.
Damn, I don't even know like how you.
Do you think he would ever like reflect back on that, or like if you were to ever express that to him, how do you think he would take it?
So he's not in a position mentally where he's that capable.
Right.
If he was in a position mentally where he was that capable to process that, I would process it for him.
Yeah.
But because he's
process it together.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because he's not, like I've had deep conversations with him. I've attempted to really help him. But what I realized was that when you're trying to help somebody that's not ready to be helped, you end up hurting them and hurting yourself in that process.
Because now you're frustrated that they're not
you know
doing
what I'm trying to say? Like,
you expect.
so
right?
for me personally, All I
Yeah.
could do with my parents is love them unconditionally, have zero expectations on them, spend as much time with them as long as it doesn't hurt me or them in that process.
I mean, so how does that, I guess, correlate into the way you raise your son
So,
or your kids, for that matter?
so the beautiful thing is that I understand what it feels like to be a son to a man like that.
Right.
So I'm able to leverage that as a reference guide on how to be different from my son. So I think about the things that I love about my father, and I think about the things that I don't love about my father. So the things that I don't love, I learn from them. The things that I do love, I implement them with my son.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's a lesson at the end of the day. And one thing that I have with my son is that I allow him to be my son, but also be an adult figure in my life, meaning he has a platform to tell me how he wants me to be with him.
Right.
Bro, what can I do better?
Yeah, that's some rare shit. Like most parents would not allow their kids to kind of like coach them how you should be around their kids. You know?
Now,
Yeah.
with my son, bro, I tell him, bro, where am I going wrong at? Like, what can I do better? Like, if I slip up, please let me know.
Like taking accountability with your kids is like unheard of.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But for me, bro, and I think that this is gonna help your audience, right? For me, it's like my son sees my truth. The world sees the perception of me.
Yeah.
Thankfully, who I am online and who I am offline is consistent.
Right.
But what if all of that was a perception? My son sees the real me all day, every day.
Okay.
He sees who I am. So there's nobody that's going to be able to highlight my imperfections and my truth more than him. Because I could put on the front all I want, but he sees it all.
This might be like a quick segue, but like, do you think that's what's wrong with like 50 and his son? Because he has like an older son that he battles with and struggles with. Do you think that it's because 50 Cent is living like two different lives? I know this is a complete like side topic, you know, but like,
so the thing with 50 Cent is that he has a superior mindset where he believes his mindset is the right way.
right.
So he doesn't give people the platform to truly express their truths and their truths about him.
Right.
So because he's used to being glorified in the public, when it comes to the private, the last thing he wants to do is have anybody challenge that glory that's being put out in the public. You see what I'm trying to say?
So you don't think it's something to do with like his baby mother and all that stuff? You think it's like more so just on him?
I think that's a part of it.
Okay.
I think that's definitely tied into it, but like the deeper root of it, probably it's like some type of reflection. You know what I mean? Because it's like if he were to acknowledge his son, right, then he has to deal with all the shit he did
Yeah.
in the time between not doing it, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, he's literally like beefed with his son. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like,
Sunned him.
actively.
Like I mean, like that's a crazy thing for a father to do. Like, yo, even in the show Power, like he directs it. He made like a scene where he killed his son in the show, and when I saw that, I'm like, damn, this is almost like, you know, like a sub towards his real son. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, so I think if you were to have to like to really deal with it and like, acknowledge his son, I think that'd be so traumatic for 50 Cent. Like, and he's probably just not the state where like he has to deal with it. You know what I mean? Because I think when you're wealthy, it's a lot easier to ignore your problems too.
1,000%. So what happens is that you throw things under the rug so much
Yeah.
that the last thing you want to do is lift up that rug. So it's like with his son, not saying that the approach could be wrong or right,
Right.
but at the end of the day, this is how I see it, bro. And I feel deeply passionate about this because this is what happened with me and my son. When you realize that you were the cause to that human being who that human being is, when you're actually real with yourself and you realize that you played a huge part in that,
Yeah.
like you have to be willing to play the part to actually fix whatever needs to be fixed. And it's like a lot of times when you're getting glorified over here, but you're getting shitted on over here, the last thing you want to do is give entertainment to that you're getting
Right.
shitted on because of all the glory that's coming over here.
Yeah.
And it's like I fuck with 50 Cent. Like he's a genius mind, bro. He's a great businessman. But I think that a lot of times we glorify people on their success and not who they are.
I mean, but to be fair to him, like, you know, he hasn't had the best role models as well. You know, like he grew up in a fatherless home. He had a mother that was an addict as well. So, you know, being a parent, and I think that's his first son, right? So like being a parent, like he had no blueprint.
1,000%.
And that's one. And I kind of empathize.
But when does it end? You know what I mean?
I mean, I empathize
because
with.
now it's like, all right, does that give the right for his son to be a shitty dad? That whatever.
I mean,
kid
but
he
in
has?
reality, that's really how it be. You know, like think about it. Like how many generations that go through before of hurt and damage that go through before somebody actively decides to make a change. Like I don't know your family history, but like for mine, it's like there's hurt on top of hurt on top of hurt on top of hurt going way back. You know, and then like you know they were hurt way back, and then they taught my grandmother, and then my grandmother taught my mother, and then my mother taught me, and then if I don't break it, I'm gonna teach it to my kids. So it's fair to say it's easy to say that at what point does it stop, but there comes a point where, like you said, you have to acknowledge it. And that's one thing that kind of fears me, which is the reason why I don't have kids, is because I was raised without a father. And one of my biggest fears is I don't know what type of dad that I would be. Obviously my intent is that I'm gonna be the best dad possible.
For sure.
I'm gonna try to be the dad that I didn't have, but what if I'm not?
Right.
And it scares me in a sense. So I like I said, kind of being on the outside looking in, and I don't have kids, and reflecting on the type of father that I want to be. It's admirable to hear how you guys think and how you guys talk about your kids, but then on the other side, I sympathize or empathize with 50 Cent, because it's he doesn't have that, and he didn't have that role model, and it's he's just projecting what he got onto his first kid.
For sure.
I gotta be honest with you. I feel like he's probably going. I think he's doing more than what he got. He's starting an internet beef with your kid is next level shit. You know what I mean?
But
I get the trauma part that he probably got, but it's he's topping whatever he got. I think.
Bro, but look at Black China and her mother. They go at it like they're best friends. The way that she talks to her mother, and the way they disrespect each other, it's not uncommon. We're trying to make. I think it's, we hear okay, a son or parent is being disrespectful to each other, and it's it's not uncommon when the relationship isn't there. So I mean, I feel like we're segueing off a topic, but generally,
no, but this is perfect, because at the end of the day, what it boils down to is that most relationships that have true beef are because of the similarities and not the differences. I see me and you see you see you and me, and we keep bumping heads because we're two peas in a pod.
Right.
And what most people don't like to do
you
is,
know what's funny? I actually caught that about myself very early on in life. It was in 7th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I realized this about myself. There was this other kid on the, how in schools they separate gold team, red team, all that other stuff. So there was this other kid, right? And I just did not like him, right? Yo, they're not running there. I'm like, he's the version of me on that team. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, and I don't know. I just felt threatened about it. And that's yo. And then I remember I hung out with him one time. I'm like, yo, this guy's fucking awesome.
right.
But yo, but my fear and resentment towards him was the fact that he was just another version of me.
For sure.
And I really had no reason to hate him.
That's crazy.
I mean, it make you think the type of energy that you're putting out into the world.
Yeah.
If he's a version of you and you hated him.
That's what I'm saying.
What
was
do other
a big self-reflection for
right?
me, man.
What are other people thinking about you in a sense?
Exactly.
I don't know. I never had that experience, so never had that experience.
I do got another question for you. So you're a mental wellness coach or life coach and a motivational speaker, right? Do you have anyone that is a mentor to you? Because I know you're probably a mentor to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a mentor?
Yeah. So I have a lot of indirect mentors. So for example, Tony Robbins is an indirect mentor. Eric Thomas is an indirect mentor. The late great Bob Proctor is also one.
What about Les Brown?
So to be honest, I love Les Brown, but I've never really connected with him like that.
Really?
I love the way he sounds. He's super motivational.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I've never listened to him.
Yeah.
However, there was never a connection like I've connected with Eric Thomas and Tony Robbins.
Really? I connect with Les Brown more than I connect with with Eric Thomas.
Yeah, there's everybody has their reasons why, and it wasn't a premeditated thing where it's an actual conscious decision. I just found myself engaging more with Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas. Tony Robbins, to be honest with you, bro, he's a big. I give him a lot of credit, recognition, and acknowledgement for the person that I am today, because he's really allowed me to look at life very differently. And Eric Thomas has been a big fuel.
Okay.
And one of the things that I love about Eric Thomas is that I've gone to most of his events, and who he is on the stage is who he is off of the stage. I've engaged with his mother. I've engaged with his wife. I've engaged with him.
Really,
Yeah. Because I just believe in paying homage to those people that are paving the way for you.
Gotcha.
And you can't say that you're part of a craft if you're not gonna honor and respect it.
Right.
For the people that are on the fence about getting a life coach or a mentor, what do you say to them? Like, what do you recommend?
Yeah.
Because I think I'm one of those people. Sometimes I'm like, I mean, like, do I really need a mentor? Do I need a life coach? You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
is it a scam? You know, like, what
Yeah.
what is your advice?
So that's actually a really good question, because you have people that will say, with all of this free information out there, like, why would you need a life coach? Why would you need a mentor? But here's the truth. Your results will tell you whether or not you need a life coach
Guy has
or
an
a
answer for
mentor.
everything.
Because if you put that into perspective, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point.
here's what I realized. This is the bigger picture, right? Let's just exclude your results out of it. And let's just really think about just this from an objective lens. You could only, and you will only see life through your lens, which means you're going to see life through your experiences, through your belief systems. It's going to be eyes outside of you that is going to be able to push you beyond your own limitations, because your limitation is based on your own vision. So for me, my goal is to be able to truly stretch the people that I'm working with. And the accountability piece is a very big piece. The encouragement piece is a very big piece, because it's very easy for us to go back to our old habits, to our old program, to our old patterns. But if you have that constant accountability, that constant guidance, that constant check-in, you're not going to tell me that you're not going to get the results that you want. If you can get the results that you want independently, you would have been getting the results that you wanted independently.
Have you ever
Damn.
got a mentee
Damn.
that you couldn't get through?
Yes. And for me, so this is why now you have to qualify to be able to work with me.
Oh, you can't even just pay to work with you.
No, I don't matter. Like, you can't pay me a certain amount of money to work with me unless you qualify to make sure that I'm a good fit for you. Not necessarily that you have to be at a certain level. I just has to make sure that you're a good fit for me, because if I know that you're going into the life coaching thing with a closed mind, if I know that when things get hard, you're going to shy away and you're not going to keep going forward, I don't want to take your money. So for me, I can hold you accountable. I can guide you. I can encourage you. I can knock on your door. I can push you. I can do all of those things. But if I know that you're still not at that point where you're truly, truly ready to commit to the process, I don't want to take your money. So how do I know if somebody's truly, truly ready to commit to the process? When I genuinely feel with my heart and soul that they've had enough.
So like your intuition in a sense,
Exactly.
right? Like lets you know about that person.
Exactly. So I ask these people, they have a questionnaire, and based on those questions, I really marinate with those questions. I really marinate with those answers. I really get
What
a
are,
feel
like, some of the
for the
questions,
person. So it's basically like, they start basic. What's your availability? How soon do you want to start your journey? I'll actually put the door right here. That way you can know exactly what the process is like.
Okay.
How you guys feeling so far? You guys enjoying this?
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
I love it.
I feel like we're
You
getting
got me wrapped in.
we're getting a free seminar.
You got me wrapped in.
All right, so check this out. What is your best availability days and times, right? That's a basic question.
Okay.
How soon would you like to begin your new journey? Basic question. What is it that you truly desire? Basic question. How long have you been wanting this change? But this is the question right here. How much is it costing you to not get this problem solved? What would having this change in your life really be worth to you? When I look at those answers, it tells me this person has had enough or they haven't had enough.
Okay.
So you want somebody that has had enough?
Yeah, because the only thing that creates true change is when we get sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just at the sick and tired part, but you're not fucking sick and tired of being sick and tired, like, your energy, I'm gonna get a feel off of your energy. I want people to feel have this level of intensity to the desire of changing, because the process that it takes to actually reprogram your subconscious mind is not an easy task, bro. You've been you for how many years? How old are you?
33.
You've been you for 33 years. You've been you for how old are you?
30.
30 years, right? You think that we're going to change in just a session or 2 sessions or 3 sessions?
Absolutely not.
Nah.
No, it's a commitment, and I have to know that you're willing to really commit to that process before I can truly take your money.
Yo, that's really noble of you, man. Like, 'cause I it almost kind of eliminates the scam fears I usually have with like these kind of things. 'Cause it's like you're not like so. Even if I wanted to pay you, but if you don't have that feeling about me, it's like you're not gonna take my money.
I mean, well, what about guiding somebody to that feeling? Like, what about guiding somebody to being sick and tired? You know,
so this is why I provide as much free content as possible.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because what happens is that you're getting the information, 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 and then when you reach out to me, a lot of times it's because you're curious for more. So once we're able to transition you from curious to more to sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when I can work with you.
Right.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Because bro, like, there's nothing like you.
It. I mean, essentially, it's like at the mall, man. Like, he's giving a lot of these free samples, right? And eventually, it's like, all right, like I'm ready to commit. Like I want the honey chicken with the rice, the lo mein. I got you.
Exactly, bro. Because like one thing about me, and I can say this confidently, bro, with conviction, is that when I tell you I fucking care, I care, bro.
Right.
Like I care, and I take your results personal. Like your life, like. Bro, like, I'm not just another coach, bro. We're talking about your life. You're investing in me to get you to a certain level. Like, I study this. I study the people that I work with. I immerse in them. I really think about, like, how can I help them get to where they want to get to as fast as possible.
Because, you take it as, like, if your client loses, you lose.
Oh, 1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%. And I can't lose.
So for any of the listeners that are considering like hiring you, so like what's the process? I mean, obviously you just said they got to qualify
for sure
to hire you, but like what are your prices and your tiers and stuff like that? And
so I have 3 different packages. The first one is an intensive package, which is a 90-minute package. That's $1,000. What we do in that package is we get to the nitty-gritty of things. This is where you're like, you know what, you know you got something going. You just maybe a little bit unstuck, or maybe you lack a little bit of conviction, and you need that 90-minute of just straight intensive work to get you going on that track that you need to go to, right? These are people that have already been doing a lot of work. They just need that extra, because what most people lack, truthfully, bro, is conviction. And why most people lack conviction is because they don't have the belief system behind their decisions. When you have your belief system behind your decisions, your actions will always indicate how much you believe in yourself. If you procrastinate, you just lack self-belief. That's it. We don't have to complicate things. So when they come to me is I help them gain that clarity. I help them gain that conviction. And that's the intensive part, right? That's $1,000. For $5,000, you get 6 sessions. What was included in these 6 sessions are you get 3 reminders every single day. Morning, afternoon, and nighttime. Where are you? How are you? How's everything? And then I continue to remind you of that thing that we established during our session. You get constant check-ins. You get that constant accountability. You get that constant encouragement. And we are in the early stages of reprogramming your limiting beliefs and your subconscious mind. That's the ready to grow.
How long would you say that process?
That process could be anywhere between, some people come to me once a week. Some people come to me once every week. Every other week. So you have about 6 months for that package. So let's just say at the worst case scenario, you want to come to me once a month. That's okay. But when you're first starting with me, I definitely suggest once a week, just to get the ball rolling. Because once we get the ball rolling, and then you're gonna need me less and less and less.
So once a week would be like what equate to about like 6 weeks? Or are you saying once a week for like the first couple sessions and then like start tapering off?
It really depends on how fast they're able to produce the results that they want.
So would you recommend this for somebody that like is baseline, or would you recommend this for, because okay, so the $1,000 package is for somebody that is on fire but just need that little oomph to push them, right? This is for somebody that needs a little bit more work, I'm assuming, right? So like they're not quite there yet, but they need a little bit more hands-on like assistance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then we're working on you. You come in once a week. We see where you are. We measure your progress. Every session I do 4 things. We declutter the mind.
Yeah.
We organize the focus. We plan the next step, and then we execute that plan.
Yeah.
Because this is what happens, bro. A lot of times what stops us from really executing is the turmoil that we're not addressing. So now you got somebody that's going to genuinely listen to you, empower you, organize your focus, help you plan your next step, and then we're going to execute that plan. And I'm going to help you do that in any way, shape, or form that I can possibly do it. I'm a very hands-on, hold your hand type of coach. I'm not, here's what you got to do, you go do it.
Yeah, like fend for yourself.
Because at the end of the day, like, people will need me.
Right.
You understand? And then the committed to grow, that's 12 is 12 sessions. That's $9,000. That's when you're committed to grow. That's where you're like, yo, you know what, bro? Like, I'm convinced. I really, really want to change my life. I really want to program my limitations. I really want to get. So you got to think about it, right? I show you the wheel of life. There's 10 different categories. My vision while working with people is to be able to go deep into every category, understand the limiting belief, overcome that limiting belief, and help them really execute whatever they want to execute in every single one of those categories. That's a process.
Yeah.
My problem is that a lot of times I want to over deliver every single time.
That's just like they just reached the I'm sick of being fucking tired. Like they just hit that.
The committed to growth and the ready to grow, those are the people that I'm fucking sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm really ready to invest. The intensive one is like, yo, like, I know that I got this going on, but like there's still a couple of things missing. I'm doing a little bit of procrastinating. I'm doing a little bit of self-sabotaging. I just need that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But where a lot of people that work with me, they end up getting the committed to grow because they see that this is actually a long-term game, not a short-term game.
Committed to grow being the $9,000 one.
The $9,000 one.
So is it like is it $9,000 up front? Do you have payment plans?
Yeah, in order for you to work with me, you gotta pay me up front because I have to know that you're really invested and truly committed.
Okay.
It's very, very, very seldom that I'm like, you know what? I can see the desire. You just don't have the funds, right? But I'm willing to start working with you. But it's for me personally, like the more invested you are initially, the more invested you're going to be.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that I find is that, and this is so deep because this is happening to me right now with a client, and I have to dismiss the person. So they started off on fire. They got the high package and stuff like that, but they were good. They were doing great. But now their old pattern
is creeping back in. Yeah.
So now I have to have a conversation with them around either we're going to continue to commit or we have to discontinue the service. I
mean, so not without getting into that person's personal situation.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you see a pattern, like patterns creeping back in?
So I study people's social media.
Oh.
When I work with my clients, I study social media. So before you even work with me, I'm already going through your social media from the beginning that you've had social media.
You went through our social media.
Correct. So I'm seeing who is this person just at the core, right? Yeah. And then I see the transition when they're starting to work with me.
Yeah.
And then I start to study their social media every single day to see if they're getting closer to the vision or if their past is creeping up again.
So it's not even about them telling you like, hey, I'm like falling back, or like you start hearing like the ways that they're talking. You're even looking deeper than that, or
of
like
course
outside of that.
Of course.
You're looking like what are they actually doing with like their social media?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because what happens is that the people on social media eventually show you who they are, right? So it's like it could be that one post, it could be that one share, it could be that one whatever, and I'm like, oh, this person is slipping again. So the first thing is like we gotta have a meeting immediately.
Right.
What's going on?
Got nipped in the butt. Like as soon as
where are you?
Okay.
Like what's happening? Like I'm noticing this. So like I give you an example. Somebody that I was working with ended up going on vacation. During their vacation, they relapsed.
Okay.
And I know that they relapsed based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm noticing, based on the disconnect.
Like with alcohol or drugs?
No. Not what I mean by relapse is like old patterns and old behaviors. Okay. So now, when I have this meeting with this person, I have to understand if this makes sense for me right now. Because right now, what I'm noticing is that the old you is starting to creep back. So they're going to be like, oh, what do you mean? Because when people are doing stuff, they're not even aware of what they're doing. They're just dumb.
Right.
So I'm the eyes outside of you. Bro, listen. This is what's happening. I study human patterns because human patterns are going to tell me human truth.
I mean, so what's your tolerance level? So like, let's just say like you notice those patterns happening with the person and they're slipping back into it. You confront them and they say, hey, like, or they try to deny or whatever the case is. Are you automatically like, you know what, this may not be working out? Or
as soon as somebody's mind closes in that contract, as soon as their mind closes and they're no longer open to the constructive criticism, zero tolerance.
Okay.
Oh.
Because that means that their old pattern got a hold of them so much that now we got to start back from square one.
Right.
And if their mind is closed and they're open and they're close to the constructive criticism, guess what happens? that means that I'm not gonna get through to them. So you could only help somebody that's willing to be helped. So if I go to you and I'm like, hey, hey, I'm noticing these patterns again.
Yeah.
Let's catch them right now. And you're in denial. Okay, so I just want to let you know that like either you understand what I'm telling you or we're gonna have to part ways. But what do you mean? Because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste your money.
I mean, but how often do you think that people are actually receptive, like initially? Like, I think it definitely takes some time to like, for you to call me out on something that I'm doing wrong. You may be 100% right in it, you know? But for me, like, I may not be there yet, you know? I may not see what you see. I may not see it as such a big situation, or whatever the case is. Like, it may take some time. So do you think like and honestly speaking, do you feel like you're giving the person a fair shot by just like being like, you know what, this is it?
Now you see why you have to qualify to work with me and for me to be a good fit for you.
Okay.
This is why. So like these expectations are clear from the beginning. Right. So it's like I understand when people self-sabotage, right?
Yeah.
I'm not so I want to make this clear. I will never get bothered at self-sabotage because that happens. It's gonna happen throughout the process.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
For me, once your mind shuts down and is no longer open to the feedback, that's when I have to make a decision and say, you know what? Am I going to force this person to believe me?
Right.
Or am I just going to let them be ready again? So it's not like you lose the package.
Yeah.
You've already paid for it. What I mean by discontinuous, I'm going to give you your time and your space to find the drive and the open-minded again.
To want to come back.
So that we can work, so that we can be effective.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought when you said like you cut them off or you disconnect, it's almost like, I thought like, pretty much is like, oh, I'm washing my hands with the situation.
Yeah, no. Because bro, I genuinely care for everybody that I work with. Once you're in my domain, you're in my domain.
I love that, yeah.
But I know when it makes sense for us, and when it's not. So I'd rather you save these 3 sessions that are left when you're ready than for me to keep for me to keep forcing them.
That's what I'm saying. Like I get it now,
and take your money. You know, because that's why people rock with me the way they do, because they're like, man, like the way you care is. Bro, I got people, and this is me not even tooting my own horn, but I got people that'll be like, yo, bro, like, you're like the father that I've always needed.
Damn.
Because I care that deep, bro, because we're talking about a human life.
1,000%, honestly. Like,
you know what I mean, bro? We're talking about a human life. We're not just talking about, like, bro, we're talking about a life.
Bro, like, I'm a personal advocate for, like, mentorship. Like, I was having a conversation with my bro over here earlier that, like, growing up, like, I was so troubled. And, like, my friend that I discussed earlier, like, he's the one that, like, kind of brought me through everything, you know? Like, He's the one that kind of showed me, like, you know, what it takes to be a man, like how to make sure you're always smelling good, make sure you're tie, like how to drive, how to do all of this stuff, like really being the father that I never had, you know.
For
and
sure.
I am like 1,000 times, like 1,000 times over appreciative for him coming into my life. And so in terms of like mentorship, and that's just like a small taste of it, you know, like, and I'm sure like what you're doing is on a different scale that I'm sure the impact that you're having on people's lives is tremendous, you know.
Is to be honest with you, bro, it's unbelievable. And this is gonna come full circle right now, right? Jaden, how long have you known me? And what do you consider me? Why? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he calls me, he doesn't call his dad. He calls me dad.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
When love is felt and when people feel safe around you, like it is a different level. And when my vision is for people to genuinely be able to trust their being around me.
Right.
Not just from a physical, because anybody can defend somebody physically, but when you can really make somebody feel safe mentally and emotionally, that's a different space.
That's crazy, yeah.
That's a different space.
Yeah.
Bro, and when every time I go on a trip, the common theme is that, like, I don't know what it is about you, but I feel like I can trust you. Like, I feel like I can really talk to you.
I mean, you talk like straight conviction. Like, yo, have you always been like a speaker like this? I mean, I know you had your transition and, you know, from like your old life into your new life, but like even during then, like, were you just as a powerful speaker at that time?
Yeah.
Or is it something that you had to like learn, or was it always something that you had?
So I've always had the ability to speak, but what I lacked in was conviction.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and right now the reason why I'm so convinced in what I say is because I'm not telling people what to do. I'm showing them what I've done.
Okay.
Everybody can give an advice that they're not willing to practice.
Yeah.
And for me personally, like what I do is like I'd rather show you what I've done than trying to tell you what to do. Because if I show you what I've done, I can speak to you with conviction. If I try to tell you what I do, I'm speaking out of my ass. I'm speaking with high hopes.
I mean, and you
Yeah.
also have the evidence to back it up. You know,
1,000%.
Right.
And it's like no matter what you think or say about me, like one thing that you can't deny is my results. And energy is felt, right? So like I don't have to tell you I got great energy because you feel it. Right?
Moment you walk through the door.
We wouldn't be, bro. We've been speaking for hours.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be speaking for hours if you didn't feel safe, comfortable, if you didn't feel good. Like, and this is what I try to tell people. Like, I bring this everywhere that I go, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely care for people. And you know what I think is sad? I was telling this to my wife, and this is me being 1,000 for real, for real. I think it's fucking sad that I get paid what I get paid because I care for people.
What do you mean?
I think it's sad that this world is so fucked up that people get paid because they actually care for humans.
We're just interrupting today's episode to thank our sponsor, Nicest Beard Oil. I know y'all been looking at my beard lately and be like, yo, where's the patches? Well, guys, this is my secret. I've been using this for the last couple of months, and boy, does it work. Obviously, you guys see the results. I'm looking amazing. And if you want to get your beard looking full, looking just shining, use this. You can find it at doseofhoney.com, but make sure you order it quickly because this does sell out. Like I said, Nicest Beard Oil. Tap in.
Yeah.
Really put that shit into perspective, bro. Like, I get paid top dollars because somebody feels safe speaking to me. I get paid
they don't have other people.
I get paid top dollar because I actually care for people. You know what it is for you to have somebody that genuinely gives a fuck about you enough to really care about you, hold you accountable, guide you, and really push you beyond your limits.
I mean, think about doctors, think about therapists, think about all these people that get paid top dollar to care for you. Whereas for you, like, you care about the person.
You know what I'm trying to say, bro?
Yeah.
And it's like when I'm talking to people, like, I really care about what you're saying. I'm not just saying that. Like, I genuinely care about what you're saying.
You could always feel when someone like gives a shit when you're talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
or when someone's like just like waiting for you to stop talking.
Yeah.
Which is like the worst feeling.
Bro.
Yo, I'm like, if I catch you, like if I get that feeling like I'm talking to you, I'll just literally stop.
Stop
Like I'm
midway.
not even like there's not even a point of finishing because
Right.
you don't even care anyway.
Right.
Bro, if you guys weren't interviewing me, I would be interviewing you guys. Like, literally, because like I know that obviously I'm the guest and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I'm the person to always listen. I'm the person to always care. And
I mean, I love it. I love when you like people question me or try to
for
interview
sure.
me. Like,
I mean,
go
it
ahead.
makes for such a better conversation too,
Yeah.
instead of us asking you like 20 questions in a row.
So how about this? So how about that? So what about
For
this?
sure,
so
for
what about
sure.
that? You know, like I like it to be like a back and forth dialogue. So if at any point you ever feel like you want to question.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Check out what happened. I want to share something really quick with you guys, right? So I was in Las Vegas, and I was engaging in a conversation with somebody, right? We were speaking in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And this person didn't know me. I didn't know this person, right? And we were talking, and I probably got 3 sentences in the hour and a half, right?
Really?
Yeah, 3 sentences. And this person is like, man, I'm going to fucking change the world. I'm going to be that person to help so many people. I'm going to be the game changer. I know that I'm going to do it. I'm going to be on stages and I'm going to be doing all of this. So at the end of it, I said, do you mind if I share something with you? He's like, yeah, dude, go ahead. And I said, not once in an hour and a half did you ask me one question. Not once in an hour and a half did you give me the opportunity to truly share my thoughts. If you really want to change the world, start by listening to the people that you actually speak to.
What'd he say?
He was like, what do you mean, dude?
I mean, you just told him what he
Check this out. He's like, what do you mean, dude? I said, everybody that advocates change wants to change because of a platform and because of a reputation. If you really want to change the world, you care for every human so fucking much that they actually feel cared for. The reason why this world is so fucked up is because most people don't feel cared for.
Right.
Most people don't feel listened to. Most people feel like they don't belong to anything. So we're going around this world trying to get all of these things, right? We want the body, the cars, the clothes. When all we want to do is be recognized for the human being that we are. The moment that you really care for the people that are in front of you and you actually start to listen is the moment that you're going to really give yourself a shot to changing the world. We spoke for an hour and a half, and not once was I able to get out a sentence where you genuinely listened to what the fuck I had to say. And I just walked away.
Oh, damn. I fucked him up.
That's it. I just walked away. Bro, like, the more invested you are in a human, the more invested that human becomes in you. And it's like, I love asking questions. I love getting to know people. I love understanding. I don't know what it is, bro, but there's something about listening to somebody's story that excites me, bro.
Yo, it's crazy.
You know what I'm trying to say,
I
bro?
mean, that's a
like,
big
That's
part of
what
podcasting, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's like the entertainment of
But
it. you know?
even just like conversations, like I feel like that's my problem with like why like I tend to ramble or like give when I'm telling a story, I go so deep because I'm giving you the details that I would want like in a
for
story,
sure,
you know?
for sure.
Yeah, but
You guys are not only are you guys great at doing podcasts, you guys are great listeners. You guys are very attentive. Like, I've genuinely enjoyed my time with you guys.
Appreciate
Like,
that, man.
it's crazy
Likewise.
because like
podcast or not, bro.
it's-
Like on some real shit.
likewise.
yeah, it's been a long like you guys won't see it, but there was a lot of like behind the scenes stuff going on, and we literally have dove deep in like some real side conversations during that time, you know?
All right,
Crazy.
man. Before we wrap this up, I got one more question for you, and then we usually ask every guest this. What has been the most memorable moment since you started this journey?
You can't say your kids.
Okay.
That's our one rule, right?
Yeah.
Kids is just the usual, like the easy answer. You know what I mean? So
I want to say my most memorable moment. That's a good question. I really want to put thought into
Yeah.
it. Like, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
I want to give like the real answer.
Yeah.
Most memorable moment.
finally stumped them.
Bro, I want to say this, bro.
Alright.
So I had did a seminar on I think it was July 31st. Yep, July 31st at the Hilton in Springfield. And when I walked into that seminar that I had that place sold out, it really hit me deep because prior to that seminar, I had put 5 seminars together, and the only person that showed up was me and my wife
For all 5?
for all 5.
Really?
I invested in them, marketed them. I was excited for them. They were free. And every time I would go to the place excited and ready to see all those empty chairs, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody there.
That didn't crush your spirit?
It did. And there's a big reason why I ended up questioning if what I was doing was what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And it wasn't until I understood that it wasn't the people that were the problem. It was my lack of belief in myself that was the problem. Because when you believe in yourself, people feel that.
Right.
When you don't believe in yourself, people also
You
feel,
feel
that.
that too, yeah.
So for me, rather than blaming the people for not supporting, I blame myself for not being good enough.
You took accountability.
Yes. And when I remember Big J, when at the Hilton, I was there. I was getting announced, bro. And to be honest with you, there was 75 people there, 80 altogether with the staff, and it felt like I was running into the Madison Square Garden, bro.
I'm sure.
And it was at that moment that I realized, like, people do want to listen to me. I just had to believe that people want to listen to me,
Oh man,
bro. It was that
I would have
moment.
gave up on the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third no show. I'm like, all right, this ain't it.
You know, it's crazy. So when I had did my second seminar after that, and I had shared that, and I had shared the flyers, bro, and I was hysterical while I was speaking on the stage. I'm like, man, like, you guys don't know how grateful I am to have 200 and something people here. When look at all of these events that
So the
nobody
next
ever
one
showed
after
up
that
to.
was 200 people.
Yeah, 200 and something people.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was just like a crazy moment, bro. Like a lot of times, like, we forget that is those initial journey, that initial mud that really makes us who we are, because it builds the character for our success. Kevin Hart once made nobody laugh. You understand what I'm trying to say? Drake once sang to nobody. Like, all of these greats once did what they did when there was nobody there but just them and their vision. And when you really put that into perspective, it's like,
Liking it.
when something means something to you, you got to protect that shit with your heart and soul, because the world is going to try to steal that desire from you. Most people don't have the courage to dream. Most people don't have the courage to pursue. And when they see somebody doing it, the world doesn't like that until you become good enough that you're undeniable. And even then, you will still get criticized. So if you guys have something that you truly desire, that you're passionate about, you got to treat that shit like your baby. Your baby, your 9-year-old and your 1-year-old, they fell multiple times before they were able to run, and you pick them up every time. And no matter how many mistakes or how much bullshit they've introduced to your eyes, they're still your babies. you got to treat your passion with the same intensity. It's like, if this shit wasn't meant for you, it wouldn't be in your mind. It wouldn't be a part of your thought process. It wouldn't be in your intuition. Most of the times, we are able to start something and finish something, but it's the in-between that really determines how much that something meant to you. And I refuse to be the person that started this fucking dream and ended it because for whatever reason, I was not able to stop myself from self-sabotaging. This is no longer about the result. This is about the process, bro. And it's like, I don't give a fuck about nothing but the process. And every single day I'm doing what I love, and I'm doing it at the highest level that I could possibly do it. And that's all that matters, bro.
That's dope, man.
That was powerful, bro. Powerful.
Sure. All right, before we leave off, where can the listeners book you, buy your book, just have a conversation with you?
For sure. So if you're interested in any of my services as a speaker, you have any events, you have any workshops, you have any conferences, you hit me up at inspiredbyunity@gmail.com. inspiredbyunity@gmail.com. I'm inspired by unity in all of my social media platforms as of right now before I do my personal brand launch. And yeah, man, I'm a person that I don't put myself above the people. I'm not the person to act like I'm better than anybody, because at the end of the day, like, I'm strong where I'm strong. You know what I mean? You're strong where you're strong. You're strong where you're strong. Like, we all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. And my vision is to ultimately make this world a better place by helping people really live their life on purpose with purpose.
Yeah.
Man, appreciate that, man. Yo, thank you for coming on.
For sure.
Looking forward.
This show is fire, bro.
It was, man.
We got to do it again.
Yeah.
Yo, this show is fire, man, for real.
Yo, great episode.
Look at this shit. I got here at 9:33 and it's 1:46 in the morning.
And we haven't stopped, really. Like,
crazy.
We might have to cut this one into 2 parts. But yo, for real, bro. Yo, thank you for coming on, man. Yo, this was a great episode. Like, definitely inspiring. And I feel like, every now and then, like, me and him will have like these bouts of like doubt, and it's like, damn, is this what we really want to do? And I feel like, yo, God always delivers a guest that's gonna keep, just keeps us going, man.
Yeah,
so
that
appreciate
pushes
you
us
for
a little
that.
bit
So
harder.
you guys are awesome. This was a
Thank you,
beautiful
man.
experience. This how many hours felt like less than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
1,000%.
keep doing what y'all doing. I'm proud of you guys, seriously. And the world needs people like y'all, bro. There's a lot of podcasters, but I think you guys have something special. You guys have something unique. And anytime those moments of doubt or those moments of is this it for me, just know that whatever you started, bro, like, you started it for a reason.
Yeah, man.
And at the end of the day, bro, like, you guys have too much to offer to throw in the towel at any point.
Thank you, bro.
Man, I appreciate that.
So,
bro.
as always, please like, subscribe, drop a comment. We'll see you on next episode.
Let's get it.